Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at some really powerful source material taking us back to the summer of 1950, a really desperate time.
Absolutely. A country on the verge of collapse.
Yeah, and this isn't just about battles and tactics. It's really a story about ethical commitment, wouldn't you say?
That's exactly right. We've got these two central figures. First, U.S. 8th Army Commander General Walton H. Walker, facing total disaster, issues this just iron-willed command.
And then decades later, a Korean veteran, Kim Regin, who dedicates, well, pretty much his entire life to a promise born out of gratitude.
46 years.
Incredible. So our mission today is to kind of unpack how these two threads connect. Walker's famous "No More Retreat" command.
And what we're calling Kim Regins' No More Forgetfulness, it's this concept of Boeing.
Right. Boeing, this powerful idea of repaying kindness, repaying a debt. We want to explore how that shapes leadership even today.
Mm-hmm. And the real tension here, the question we're exploring is, how does a military command made in the heat of battle, life or death, how does that transform into someone else's lifelong moral mission? It's about how sacrifice gets remembered, how it becomes a value.
Okay, let's set that stage. July 1950. Paint the picture for us.
It's bleak. I mean, really bleak. The North Korean army had pushed down so fast, so hard. 90% of the country was occupied.
The government was actually thinking about going into exile.
Seriously, considering it, yes. The defensive line just kept shrinking, pulling back into this tiny pocket around Busan. The sources say it was about the size of Connecticut at its smallest point.
Wow. Just clinging on.
Utter catastrophe looming. And into this steps General Walker.
Tell us about him. He wasn't maybe the image people have of a commanding general.
Physically, no. He was quite small, under 5'5". They called him Little General, sometimes Little Patton.
Patton. That connection's important, isn't it?
Hugely important.
Yeah.
Walker served under Patton, deeply absorbed his philosophy, speed, relentless attack, and just an absolute hatred for retreat. He had this, fierce Texan tenacity, an uncompromising will.
And that will face its ultimate test on July 29th, 1950.
In Daegu.
Right. He calls his commanders together. These guys are exhausted. They're demoralized. They've been retreating for weeks. They're probably expecting orders for a final withdrawal, maybe even evacuation.
The mood must have been just rock bottom.
You have to imagine. But Walker doesn't give them an escape route. Instead, he gives them the command. No more retreat.
Just flat out, no more backing up.
And then he follows it with something even more profound. The stand or die declaration.
Yeah.
Jiginunya animayan jungyunya. He essentially tells them, we hold this line or we die here.
And he didn't just mean the troops, did he?
No, that's the crucial part. He swore he would stay. If the line broke, he'd be there with them. He would die alongside his men.
Right.
That changes everything.
It's not just an order anymore. It's a shared fate.
Exactly. It's a psychological line in the sand. By taking retreat off the table, verbally, forcefully, he redirects that fear. It can't become panic and flight anymore. It has to become resolve. Because the commander says, I'm right here with you until the very end.
That bond, that commitment, it creates a different kind of defense, a moral defense line, almost.
Okay, but there's always the risk, isn't there? That sounds incredibly defiant, almost reckless. Stand or die when you're outnumbered. How did Walker back that up? Was it just sheer will?
That's a fair question, and the sources are clear. It wasn't just willpower. The no more retreat order was underpinned by a really smart, if desperate, strategy. The mobile defense.
Mobile defense, using the Busan perimeter's geography.
Precisely. He recognized the advantage of the internal lines. Think about it. His forces inside the perimeter had shorter distances, better roads to move between fronts.
While the North Koreans were stuck on the outside, longer routes, rougher terrain.
Exactly. So Walker basically turned himself into a fireman.
Fireman. How so?
He kept his best reserve units, like the very capable 1st Marine Brigade, centrally located, and whenever a part of the line started to buckle under attack.
He rushed the reserves there, like a fireman racing to a blaze.
That's the idea. Put out the fire before it spreads. He could move his reinforcements faster internally than the North Koreans could shift their attacking forces externally. It was about concentrating force at the critical point, even though he was outnumbered overall.
And there's a specific example of this, right? Involving those Marines and MacArthur.
Yes, a really telling one. MacArthur wanted those Marines for the upcoming Incheon landing. Pulling them out was part of the plan.
But Walker needed them now.
Desperately, the line was about to break at the Naktong Bulge in the Chanyong-Yongsan area. This was August, a critical moment. Walker basically defied MacArthur, kept the Marines, and threw them into that fight.
A huge risk, potentially career-ending.
But it plugged the gap. It likely saved the perimeter from being split in two. And this kind of action, this decision-making under fire, it fits perfectly into the leadership model the sources use to analyze Walker.
The be, no, do model. Let's break that down. It sounds like a useful framework.
It really is. It starts with B. This is about the leader's character, their essence, their moral core.
So for Walker, this is the standardized spirit.
Yes, what the sources call a sejuksang, the willingness to die in order to live, or in this case to fight. It's his personal pledge, his moral courage, his conviction. That's the foundation. Without the B, the rest doesn't hold.
The leader has to embody the principle first.
Yeah.
Okay, what about no?
No is the intellectual part, the strategy, the insight. It's Walker understanding the terrain, seeing the Naktong River as a natural barrier, figuring out how to use those interior lines for the mobile defense. It's the smarts behind the brawn.
Got it. So B is the why, no is the what and how.
And do is the action, the execution, making it happen.
This is the fireman part.
Right. Rapidly moving those reserves, making the tough calls, like using the Marines at the Naktong, or calling in massive B-29 carpet bombing runs to support the ROK troops, holding critical points like Dabudong. It's decisiveness, taking responsibility, getting things done under immense pressure.
So if you're, say, leading a company through a major crisis today, how does that B element play out? It's not literally stand or die.
No, of course not. But the principle holds. The B is about the leader demonstrating absolute commitment and shared sacrifice. Maybe it's taking the first pay cut, being the most visible, communicating relentlessly, shouldering the responsibility. It's showing, I am in this with you, we will get through this, and I believe it, absolutely. That conviction has to be real.
So the moral foundation, the B, really has to come first. You can't just rely on clever plans or decisive actions if the core conviction isn't there or isn't trusted.
Exactly. People need to believe in the leader's fundamental commitment, especially when things get tough. If that B is shaky, the no and do won't be enough.
Which makes Walker's own fate just incredibly poignant. He embodies this standardized spirit, holds line against all odds.
Survives the absolute worst of it, the massive North Korean offensive in September.
And then?
And then he dies. Not in battle, but on December 23rd, 1950, in a traffic accident. A Jeep collision near Seoul in a place called Dubong-dong.
Just unbelievable irony. He was on his way to award a medal.
To his own son, Sam Walker, who was serving as a captain in his command, he survived the war zone only to die in a vehicle accident in the country he helped save.
It's heartbreaking. And that tragic event is where our second story begins, with Kim Ri-jin.
Yes. Kim Ri-jin was a young South Korean soldier then, an information officer, a sergeant. He'd seen the fighting, seen the sacrifices of the UN forces firsthand. He was there, or aware of the immediate aftermath, when Walker died.
And for him, this wasn't just a geopolitical event or the loss of an allied commander.
No, his reaction was deeply personal, deeply rooted in Korean culture. He didn't see the American sacrifices primarily through the lens of ideology, like fighting communism. He saw it as a debt, a profound debt.
A debt that demanded repayment. This is Boeing.
Exactly. The spirit of Boeing, this powerful sense of obligation to repay kindness, to honor sacrifice. For Kim Ri-jin, Walker's death, saving his country, created an immediate, personal, lifelong duty.
And that duty became his 46-year mission, which he defined as no more forgetfulness. Deo isangui mangagyo ne opta. What was he fighting against? Just the passage of time.
Time, yes, but also active neglect and even commercialization. He saw Walker's memory fading. Worse, he saw the name being used, like for the Walker Hill Hotel complex, but detached from the actual sacrifice, the actual history.
That must have felt like a betrayal of Boeing, using the name for profit while forgetting the reason the name mattered.
Precisely. It spurred him into action. He founded the Memorial Association in 1979. But first, he had to uncover the truth. He spent, what, over 3 years?
3 years and 5 months, the sources say.
Just meticulously researching and locating the exact spot where the accident happened in Dubong-dong, proving it wasn't near the hotel, restoring that geographical accuracy.
And the personal cost for him was enormous.
Immense. He poured his own money, his sajay, his entire personal fortune into building a proper memorial there. He faced real financial hardship. This wasn't some government-funded initiative. It was one man's relentless ethical dedication over decades.
It really shifts the focus, doesn't it? From just the war itself to the act of remembering the war and the cost of remembering.
It does. It tells us that preserving history, honoring sacrifice, that's an act of commitment. It doesn't just happen.
And now, That solitary effort seems to be evolving.
Hmm.
The sources suggest the memorial association he founded has a plan to make it sustainable, right? To carry the torch forward.
Yes, absolutely. His personal mission has laid the groundwork for an institutional strategy. They're focusing on three main directions now.
Okay, what are they?
First, history education, making sure young people, soldiers, leaders, the public actually learn this story, understand the sacrifice.
Second.
Cultural asset development,
Right.
using modern tools, documentaries, books, maybe even AI interpretations to keep the story relevant and accessible, not letting it become just a dusty monument.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And the third connects back to Walker's role.
Right. International exchange. Using the shared history of sacrifice and gratitude as a foundation to strengthen the ROK-US alliance, grounding it in those shared values, not just strategic interests.
So bringing it all together for someone listening, this story of Walker and Kim Region, it really pushes us to think about leadership differently. We often focus on the know, the strategy, the tactics, and the execution.
But this history powerfully argues for the primacy of B, that moral foundation, the leader's conviction, their willingness to commit to sacrifice. That's where real leadership starts, especially in a crisis.
Walker's No More Retreat wasn't just a tactic, it was an expression of his be.
And Kim Region's No More Forgetfulness is a 46-year testament to the enduring power of B, in his case, the ethical commitment of Bowen.
So we have these two lines defining the legacy. The Walker line, the line of defense, survival, sacrifice.
And the Bowen line, a line of memory, gratitude, and moral repayment. Together, they offer a much deeper understanding of that historical moment and its lasting significance.
A really fascinating dual legacy. We've covered a lot: the brink of collapse, the Pusan perimeter, Walker's fierce leadership and tragic end, and Kim Region's incredible 46-year dedication to honoring that sacrifice through Bowen.
And maybe the final thought, the challenge for all of us is to reflect on that. In our own lives, our work, our communities. What's our no more retreat line? What are the core principles we absolutely won't compromise on?
And just as importantly,
What's our Bowen? What debt of gratitude do we owe? Maybe to mentors, to predecessors, to those whose sacrifices paved the way for us? And how are we actively choosing to remember and repay that debt? Because ultimately, history isn't just what happened. It's what we choose to keep alive through commitment.
choosing to remember, choosing to repay. A powerful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.